question that I wanted to ask was like, are you associated with any other dairy farms, or are you working solo? Are you doing your own research? Are you doing?
Though I'm working single, I work alone. I always take inputs. I always take inputs from other people. There are groups, small WhatsApp groups, which gives ideas. So I take them. Other than that, I research from the channels which is available. Information, I read quite a bit of this information. This is how I get inputs. And
Right. Okay. So, Mr. Johnson, you just mentioned before our interview started, like you had something, you had a lot of orchids around, which I walked around and saw. What were you trying to tell me, like that it was taking the moisture from the fodder and things like that, or?
See, I told you I dropped the idea of using hydroponics as fodder field for my cattle. The next thing was to utilize the vertical space, which is double the height of normal cattle sheds, and use the space there to have small orchid plants, because orchids have such an important lesson to be taken, that the roots of the orchid absorbs humidity in very large quantity to make, and that is what helps them to grow. So the entire cattle shed, we are trying to flood it with orchid plants, orchid small plants, so that it enhances the growth of the orchid. Vice versa on the cattle shed, the cows are comfortable because the water content in the cattle shed is comparatively less. It helps to manage the humidity, which otherwise would have to use some of the machines to manage the humidity. This is the direction in which we are moving. Also, the bigger plants of orchids, the best manure for the orchids are the cow urines, which is diluted in its desired proportion so that it blossoms. You have seen some of the best orchids here, most expensive one, exotic ones, blooming very comfortably because of the cow urine, which is used in the right balance and right proportion. So this is how it works. And the other small things which is factoring in, the flora and the fauna and the other factors which is there, which there are these very rare black hens here. We have two dogs which have their task cut out on each day. They are an important factor because they are the ones who help us to sleep comfortably, because they alert us whenever it is needed. We have
It's a balanced ecosystem that you have here.
yes, and we have a small vegetable garden. You can see the richness which some of those vegetables are growing, and primarily because it's all working in the system. It's all working inside the system.
So
Yes.
because yes,
You don't have any questions?
Okay.
Except what we said, these guys.
Okay, so I have two further questions. Two questions. The first one is that I'll ask both the questions here. The first one was that there was a flood here in Kerala.
2017, yeah.
2017. How did you survive the flood? That flood. And the second question is there any pain point or any message that you want to send to the outside world that is like something that we can take a look at before we go for the tour of the place?
Flood, yes, it was a big challenge, and it was shocking and surprising, because I've been staying here from 1960 and never ever have we seen such a devastating flood come through in such a short span of time. So we never expected this to happen. So while the water was coming, we have had all our documents already packed and to move. There are hardly 4 or 5 people living here, and around 30 cattle here. To help them out survive this devastating catastrophe was very difficult. So the moment we realized it, after our documents everything, the entire time and effort was to save our cattle. So what we did is we decided an action plan as to how we are going to go about it. So we have a place which is higher, so the bigger cattle were shifted there as fast as possible while the water was still coming. The rest of us were taken right to the highway, and we used each of the telephone posts or the electric posts for each of our cattle to keep them safe there, because that was the only place people were running for life, and who is there to mind for cattle on those difficult times. But we did it. We were able to save the entire cattle. We lost one of them not because of the flood, but the kind of aftermath of the flood took away one of the our best dairy cows. That is the remembrance. But I was telling my son, who was young those days, now having battled this out this time, this is going to be a great learning experience for you to future, because if something has to frighten you, It has to be something bigger than this. So we were taking it as a challenge. We were taking it in prayers. We were taking it as submission. We lost everything. To be very frank, as a home, as a house, we lost everything, and we have to recapture everything from grassroots. It might all look very simple and easy to say, but then when you are at this stage in your life, suddenly when everything is lost, to recapture all this involves a lot of money, and we very systematically went about it. That was the way when we came back also. First we made our cattle sheds right, then we entered our house. It was a cleaning process of mammoth task. Of course, the community helped us in a big way to get back to normal. Our church helped us. A lot of people supported us. But then we do not have any regrets. This was one of the greatest learning experiences we have ever had as regards the flood. The second part of it, as to the challenges, the time has passed where you would enjoy even in an interview like this to talk to you and get comfortable by seeing what the. I would be happy rather if the affection for this little cattle is taken to the next generation, to the younger generation. That is where probably the issues are. They need to be more caring for these little ones, because they are important. As I said, the coexistence of these are very important, particularly the dairy cows. And the dairy cows are an even important role to play in keeping the balance of the atmospheric oxygen, because it is said, when it is said that the cows normally, it is said, or any animal for that matter, breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. But the digestion system of cattle are different, in the sense the green fodder which it takes in, it ruminates after maybe long hours, and in each rumination the green fodder breaks up, and the oxygen trapped in the green fodder is generated in the atmosphere. That is why a cattle shed is very healthy for your living. That is why a cattle shed is near your kitchen. That is why dairy cows are very near house. It supplements oxygen, rather it's an oxygen power anyway. On the other hand, these exotic small cows, they capture energy from atmosphere, and being with them can transmit this energy to you. I said this is a learning experience. This is a university by itself, because each day you are among with your cows. Can you ever imagine any living being which is a giver all by itself and not a taker at all? If there is anything like that, it is cow, because from the time it is in captivity, or it is held back, it just keeps on giving. It gives you milk, it gives you curd, it gives you ghee, butter, whatnot. It gives you urine which is used. It just gives you cow dung.
And what Mr. Johnson mentioned is completely so much in alignment of the overall respect, and the main thing that we have to understand is that cow is a complete giver. It humbles itself and gives and gives and gives. There is nothing else.
True. I truly wish more you comfortably live with it, because it's something so affectionate an animal, and it is for everyone. It is a giver for everyone. So in that perspective, people who speak of cow, I wish they learn little more on what are the kind of things what the cow gives. And the challenges what I face, see, there are a lot of encouragement from government in terms of support, in terms of the feed support which is given, or the privileges what is got. All that is there, but then it's not a wealthy proposition. But then the satisfaction what you generate, you cannot compare it with money, and the learning experience what you get cannot be compared with money. The frightening thing is if a cow dies. All our animals are supported with homeopathic medicine, surprisingly finding fantastic results for it, particularly in the kind of untraveled areas like mastitis, which is a frightening thing worldwide for all dairy cattle, and homeopathy works wonders for dairy cattle. And but then if a cow dies, that is the point when you put your hands up, because the community does not want it, the municipality does not want it. There is no cremation system available for a fair funeral or fair burial for these cattle, or for that matter any animal. This is where the government should bring their attention to, because this is frightening. Because even for a 200, 300 or 400 kilo cattle which is dead, unless we have a system to give it a fair burial, I think it is very unfair to treat a farmer that way at the hour of crisis. So this is one grey area which I have always seen, which I have tried to mention to people whom I meet.
That's it here in India. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So one final thing that I wanted to mention, Mr. Johnson, was I heard that the surface soil on this planet Earth is fast deteriorating in quality. You were mentioning about something that something related to that, where the earthworms would be helpful.
Yes, for that matter, the food supplements and food supplies, the amount of food which is wasted, if you can retrieve 50% of this food which is wasted from the big hotels, supermarkets, where the expiry dates are on, it is retrieved. That will be sufficient enough to feed 3 times the world which is going hungry. So that is the proposition, and it's also an after effect that generally the developed nation consider it is more forest areas to be deforested, to plant more so that you can feed the population. Actually, that is not the fact. What is the need of the hour is to optimize the waste so that the deforestation is less. And coming to the point of the soil fertility getting depleted, it's a fact. But the nature has provided its solution in itself, because worldwide, wherever it is, whichever part of the world, 15 meters down the earth lies dormant earthworm seedlings. So the only way to activate these seedlings are to on the surface of the soil, the moment urine or cow dung or cow urine touches the surface, this makes the dormant earthworms to come alive. They travel the distance of 15 meters, creating capillaries in the earth, recapturing the water holding capacity of the earth, and the droppings of the earthworms make the soil fertile, and they travel to a different capillary when they travel down. This enriches the soil in a huge big way. So this is the gift, nature's gift, the earthworm, the cow dung and the cow urine is one of the greatest gift to recapture the soil. But then that is not the only thing. This is a natural way of getting enriching the soil. But there is a way where you can humanly intervene, because there are these traditional Vedic findings where the traditional cow, Deshi cow dung, the milk, the curd, the ghee, cow dung, urine, 5 of this is used to create something called Pancha Gavya, you use it as a fertilizer. You have the right combination worked out on it. 1 cow is enough to probably fertilize around 5 acres of land. So you can imagine the kind of support it can. What it does is, when this touches the surface of the soil, the acidity of the soil is so high because the use of chemicals as fertilizers has depleted the value of the soil. Now these to enrich the soil, to recapture the pH value of the soil, these Panchagavya or the cow dung or the urine helps to recapture the pH value and make the soil balanced, rather. The acidity being depleted and the alkalinity of the soil, that makes the soil rich, that makes the soil fertile, and anything which is grown in the soil becomes useful for the community at large and makes you healthy, live longer and be happy. And that's it. That is the solution for future.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Friends, today we had a discussion, a heart-to-heart conversation with Mr. Johnson about his setup of a cattle shed, a cattle farm with the complete ecosystem here in the midst of city. So very soon we will go out there and visit his cattle farm and take a look like how does he manage all those things in practical. Alright, so on that note, I want to wish Mr. Johnson thank you so much.
Thank you.
My dad, who is here, being a very silent listener, and from my bottom of my heart, he is being the architect of my journey in the corporate industry. So
that is humble of yours, Bobby. You have grown big. I learned from you and a lot of good lessons. Thank you. I always are passionate about your growth.
Thank you so much. And on that note, what do we always say? Be cool.